The next thing that we're going to learn how to do is how to open Adobe Photoshop from the desktop computers. Once you've logged into the computer, you can actually go down to the document bar, and you can actually make it larger over here on the right. If I pull on this little bar, it actually makes my icons a little bit larger. And here I can see I have Adobe Photoshop. I also have my Google Chrome open. If I click on Adobe Photoshop, it should actually bounce as it's starting to load. If you don't see, and I'm actually going to stop this here for a second, so I'm just holding the Control, Option, and Command buttons in order to force quit Photoshop here for myself, just because I want to show you one other thing. If for some reason you don't have your icons on the bottom, if you go into the Finder, so I'm just double clicking onto the Finder and it opened up a window here for me. I'm going to click into the Applications folder, and if I scroll down, I can see Adobe Photoshop, and I want to use the most current year. For some reason, I still have 2017 on my computer, but I want to click into the Adobe Photoshop folder, and I want to actually find the icon itself, and then I would actually drag it right down onto my dock, and I would let it go, and it would stay there. You may have to right-click on it in order to show the options, and you can actually keep it in the dock. You can also remove it from the dock if you want to, but the whole point here is we want to have fast accessibility, so we want to make sure that we have Photoshop in the dock every time when we log into the computer. Once you've got Photoshop on the dock, you can actually, again, click on it. It's going to bounce as it opens, and then you'll see, as it's opening, there's a front screen, and it's going to take a little bit of time in order to open your Photoshop document. There may also, as you're doing this, there may be some additional steps that you need to take. When you go to open Photoshop, sometimes you're going to be required to sign in, like what is listed right here. So you can see there's a sign-in screen. Generally speaking, you want to actually click on the Continue with Google button. What Adobe has a lot of things running in the background, and what we want to do for our school purposes is sign in with Enterprise ID, because the school, through your course fee, has paid for you to use it here at school. So once you've clicked on sign in with Enterprise ID, you're going to have to use your username and login, or username and password, just like what you would for when you sign into your Chromebook. So it should be your first name dot your last name at nicolet.us, and then you have a password that you've created. Sometimes if you've logged into multiple computers, there may be the need to sign out of one of the desktop computers. You would just select one, and then it'll actually say quit, and then you can continue on from there. Once you've done that, a window for Photoshop should pop up similarly to what you see on my right here, and I've got a bunch of different images that I was working with before, so you can see my previous images in there. Sometimes another window will pop up just notifying you of some changes that had happened. A lot of times it doesn't affect Photoshop. You just want to click OK so that you can actually go and use Photoshop. So I'm going to bring my Photoshop window up and show you how to open an image in Photoshop. So again, I've got a bunch of images that I've already been working with here, and I could click on those. But right now I don't want to. I want to go to my Photoshop tutorials, because the images that I'm working with are actually housed in that folder. So I'm going to take this image that says Joe and Vena, and I'm just going to drag it over to the Photoshop window, and it should pop up in a moment. Yep, there it went. Sometimes I get a little impatient. You saw me actually grab it a second time. You do need to just be patient and wait for the document to open. If it takes more than 2 minutes though, something probably didn't go right and you may need to drag it back in. You can also go over to File and go to Open, and you can go into the same folder that you just went into, and you saw that little spinny process box. So my image that I have was just in the Photoshop tutorials that I had at my desktop. It was Joe and Vena, and I could say open, but if I do that right now, it's already open, so it's not going to actually do anything.